What if I told you that I have two violins, one relatively expensive and made by a well-known maker, the other relatively inexpensive and made by an unknown maker? And then what if I played both of them for you but removed all sensory information except for sound? Would you be able to tell the difference? Would you be able to tell which one is which? Hello, my name is Andrew and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm so glad to see you today. I hope you're having a fantastic day or morning or evening or whatever time it is for you while you're watching this. And if you are like me in that you really enjoy an analytical challenge and really enjoy being able to test out your listening skills and you really enjoy playing games, well, you've come to the right place. Today's video is going to be a very special and very fun video. Well, I hope it will be for you. And I have two violins, as I've mentioned, that I'm going to play for you. They're both really good instruments, but they're also of different monetary values. They're also just very different from each other in playing characteristics and sound. At least to my ears they are. Maybe you will think that they're more similar to each other. I'm not sure, but I'm really curious to hear what your thoughts are, and I would love it if you would play along with the game, and before we get to the conclusion of the video, you could post your answers in the comments and then see if you got it right. So, a little bit about the blind comparison that we're going to do today. I've got 4 pieces of music, 4 excerpts that I'm going to play for you, and I'll go through each one of those 4 excerpts and you'll hear them each twice on each of the 2 violins. They're going to be in random order, so even though you'll see a label violin A and violin B, those don't mean anything. That only serves the purpose of telling you that you're hearing a different violin now than you were on the other label. So I've tried my best to make this as difficult as possible and to remove as many variables as possible. It should be said also that I'm playing the same bow on both violins. That's very important because the bow has a huge effect on the sound. Unfortunately, both violins do not have the same kind of strings. That would have made it even better, but they have sets of strings that I think are well suited to the individual violin. So anyway, I hope you enjoy listening and I wish you good luck. Let's dive straight in to the comparison. Well, now that was interesting, wasn't it? You've just heard 2 of the 4 excerpts, and I'm interrupting to take an intermission for the purpose of trying to make it more difficult for you. Yes, I'm very sorry, but I'm taking this intermission so that I can talk to you and try and distract you from what you've just heard and maybe make you forget what you just heard and confuse you a little bit more. Isn't it so interesting how we create certain conceptions in our brains and we latch onto certain things, and it's always just relative, right? I always find it interesting whenever I listen to a blind comparison between 2 of the same type of instrument, but there's something about each of them that's slightly different. I listen to one example and I have no idea what to think until I hear a second example, because then I have a way of comparing them. But it's always just relative to what I hear. Like, that sounds good, I guess. Does that sound good? I don't know. So I feel like these are always really interesting kind of psychological studies as well. I don't really know what to make of that, but it's fun. I hope it's fun for you. So, with that, I hope I have distracted you enough, and we're going to dive into the 3rd and 4th excerpts, and then I will see you on the flip side for the big reveal. All right, and that concludes the blind comparison game of the day. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and right now, before I do the big reveal, go ahead and post your answers in the comments. This is all on the honors system, so there's nothing that I can do if you decide to cheat and skip ahead in the video, but I'm trusting that you haven't watched the answers yet, and you're going to go ahead and post your answers anyway in the comments. Now, it's time for the big reveal. Well, I have done my best to confuse you, and I have done my best to play each of these two instruments to the best of my abilities, and of course, no promises can be made. Of course, you heard plenty of out-of-tune notes, but I hope that it sounded alright, and I hope that it gave both violins a fair shake in the competition. I'm holding one of the two violins in my hands right now. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous instrument with this dark brown varnish. It's got these gorgeous flames in the maple wood that the back, the sides, and the neck are made out of. It's got these beautiful ebony fittings. And is this the expensive or the cheap violin? This is the cheap one. This is a violin made by John S. Dickinson. He is the unknown maker, and I say unknown because I've never heard of him, and I've done a bunch of research on the internet and can't find any information at all. Now, if you've been hanging around my channel for a while, you will have seen this violin previously. There's a video that I made a little more than a year ago now talking about this instrument and a viola that I had at the time, and you can watch that video to hear a little more of the story of this instrument. But in any case, this is the John S. Dickinson violin made in 1911, and this is the cheap violin. And now, of course, we have the expensive one. Look at this absolutely beautiful, beautiful instrument. It has this gorgeous sort of reddish orange and golden varnish color. It has these beautiful boxwood fittings. It just looks beautiful. And this is a Guarneri copy made by Scott Cao, who is one of the great violin makers of the present day. This violin was made in 2012, so it's only 10 years old. And it is an absolutely exquisite instrument. This violin is on loan from me currently from my school, which I'm extremely lucky. And so I've been really enjoying this violin in the short time that I've had it so far. I might potentially get to keep this violin until I graduate, which will be another year and a half. So that would be pretty awesome. So we'll see what happens. Now, I still haven't told you which one was which. So it's time for me to tell you all of the answers right now. All right, so I have everything written down here so that I remember, because of course I had to go and record this and I came back and I don't remember what I did. But anyway, for the first excerpt, which was from the Bruch Violin Concerto, Violin A was the Dickinson, the cheaper of the two violins, and Violin B was the Cao. For excerpt number 2, which was the Respighi Violin Sonata, Violin A was the Cao, and Violin B was the Dickinson. For excerpt number 3, which was the cadenza of the Sibelius Violin Concerto, Violin A was the Cao, and Violin B was the Dickinson. And last but not least, we have the second movement, the opening of the second movement of the Strauss Violin Sonata. Which one do you think was which? Violin A was the Dickinson, and Violin B was the Cao. So before we conclude the video, feel free to add more comments down below and just share with me all the thoughts that you had about each of these two instruments. Which one was your favorite? Did you actually like the Dickinson more than the Cao, despite it being less expensive? Anything that you thought, I would love to hear it. Now, I want to share with you a few of my own thoughts from the perspective of the player, and also now kind of getting to know both of these instruments fairly well. Of course, the Dickinson violin I know much better than the Cao, because the Cao I've only had for about 3 or 4 weeks. So the Dickinson I've actually had now for 5 years. So I've gotten to know it quite intimately well. But what is interesting to me is that you get used to what you've been playing for a long time. It's kind of a very strange thing. And then you start playing a new instrument and it feels a little bit uncomfortable. But after a short time of getting the Cao violin, it started to feel really, really good to play. And I started to really feel very inspired on it. And what I notice is kind of the biggest difference in sound between the two instruments, because they both sound great, but the Cao has this breadth to the sound. It just sounds big, like physically big. It sounds like it occupies a larger space. To my ears, that's what it feels like. Both under my ear as I'm playing and listening back to the recordings, I would say that for both the audience and player experience, that is the case. And the Dickinson has a certain kind of brilliance and focus, especially in the middle and low registers, which sometimes can be a little bit unpleasant to my ears when I'm playing it, when it's right under my ear. There's I don't know how to describe it exactly. It's almost kind of like a honkiness in the sound in the low register, which is not my favorite sound, but it still has a really nice quality to the sound, and something that I definitely got used to after a long time of playing it regularly. But the Cao seems to have this huge richness and warmth, especially in the low register, and that makes it a really enjoyable playing experience. I also just feel generally more inspired when I'm playing the Cao. Something about the sound just seems to give me a little bit more color to work with, and I feel like I more easily enter the world of the music itself, the storyline, the composer, what the composer was thinking, all those sorts of things. So it's really interesting to be able to compare both of these instruments, and I'm searching for, like, what are the contexts in which one would maybe be better suited. Maybe the Dickinson is better for a certain kind of playing and the Cao better for a different kind of playing. I'm not really sure yet. I'm still kind of exploring all of that. But in the meantime, I am having a great time with both of these instruments. They're both really great, and I just feel very fortunate that I have both of them in my possession right now, and I'm able to make the best music that I can possibly make on both of them. And yeah, that's about it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and please let me know all of your thoughts in the comments below. Feel free to subscribe if you'd like, and if you do, be sure and hit that notification bell so you don't miss future videos. If you'd like to, you can also hit the like button. All that stuff that YouTubers tell you to do. I'm not a YouTuber, I just make stuff here for fun. So anyway, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.